Hi, I am Shallalla, Charlene Anders. I'm a creativity coach from Germany, and today we are starting Walking in This World, Julia Cameron's second installment of The Artist's Way. And I am here with my wonderful The Artist's Way buddy, Joe Holmes. Hi, Joe.
Hi, how are you doing? I'm Joe. I'm a writer and presenter from the UK, and I'm so grateful to be in the company of Shallalla again. She's an amazing creativity coach, an amazing friend, and has so much knowledge. And I'm so glad that I'm doing Walking in This World with you. How many times have you done this, and what makes this book special for you?
Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment. So this is The Artist's Way. I went through 10 times, as you very well know. This is only my third time with Walking in This World. And I was so super excited when you sent me the message saying I would love to go through The Artist's Way again. And I was like, yeah, that would be great. But I really would like to do Walking in This World, especially with you. From the three main installments of The Artist's Way, which is The Artist's Way, Walking in This World, and then Finding Water, I love Walking in This World the most. And there is an essay where Julia Cameron talks about mental health, in the sense of, I do know that these things get better when you allow creativity to flow. And again, just as Julia Cameron said, I'm not saying stop taking your meds, absolutely not. But I do say, if you are a blocked artist, or if you have a feeling that there is something more that needs to be expressed, then by all means, go and express it and see how your life changes.
Yeah, it's that expression of your true self, and also using that creativity to solve problems. I think even if people don't consider themselves to be artists at an initial point, using that creativity in a practical sense to solve what you see in your life and to just make sense of it is a way that creativity is really a powerful tool.
Absolutely. And I do believe that, I mean, we are talking about energy. And if you look at, I mean, we talked about this so much, like, but creativity is not just energy. It truly is a force of nature. And when you bottle it up and when you don't let it out, it will do damage. And I mean, much rather have characters on paper fight with each other and hate each other and love each other way too much and all these things than have all this drama in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I love Walking in This World so much, and it's the practical art of creativity. And I'm such a huge fan of that, because I think that creativity is not something that is like reserved for artists, or for artists when they are making art. Creativity is really something that is everywhere in your life. And you mentioned creative problem solving, and yeah, absolutely. So I have a question for you. It's almost a year that we did the Artist Way together, and now, how was this year for you? And regarding your creativity, what changed, and what do you attribute to the Artist Way?
This year for me was strange. It was weird because so many different things happened in this year. And I know it was 11 months ago, about a year, and you say it feels like 3 years. And to me, although it doesn't seem like that long, it seems like there's lots of different chapters and lots of different things happened. But I know that by doing the artist way with you before, it meant the way I dealt with those different chapters changed. And so it felt like a strange journey. I was still doing lots of different things at different times, and I feel like my horizons were quite close to me, so I was seeing what was in front of me. And I think over time, you helping me and the artist way helping me to see the meaning, see the intention, has set my horizons back a bit. And then for me, process I'm starting to develop is to become more organized towards those, rather than the short term things. And it's made me see things and think that doesn't align with my meaning, that doesn't align with my intention, my purpose, and to go no. Whereas I don't think before that I would have said that, because the morning pages, they help me unearth what I was really thinking and feeling about those things. And I thought, this doesn't look good. And then the self-reflection and all the different time I spent thinking about myself and about my creativity, that helped me realize who I was and what I stood for. So it made me approach things differently and learn how to say no. And what I would say about last year compared to going into this year, I did an awful lot of things last year, but now this year I want to do less things, but I want those things to either make me happy or to make me money. And that's where I'm going with it. I regain that creativity. I regain that sense of, okay, I want to do things. I want to go out there, because after the pandemic, it was that boost that got me to know who I was, and it got me to know myself. It got me to do those things. But now I want to really be strategic and really be organized, which is why walking in this world, practical strategies for creativity, it seems like it seems like it gives you those steps. So how about you? How was your year?
My year was absolutely crazy. But before I go there, I have to say one thing. I have just to give you an observation, because you just said you want to do things that make you happy or that make you money.
I mean both together.
And I just heard that and I was like, you know, that I get now every client, all of my clients, I get them to write morning pages.
Yeah.
And kind of like the task that I always give them is when we talk, when we are in a session and something like this comes up, I actually say, oh, look at this in your morning pages. And so if you were my client, I would actually say, can you please write about happiness and money? Like, in the sense of happiness to me is dot dot dot, and then you just end the sentence, and money to me is dot dot dot. And it's really amazing because I always ask them to write for 6 days and to always to answer this, to end the sentence. And then at the end, and actually, I got this exercise from a coaching colleague of mine. I stole it from her because it's just so perfectly aligned with everything that I do. At the end of those 6 days, you ask yourself, you read what you wrote, and you ask yourself, if what I wrote is true, what do I need? So you look at all the ugly things that you wrote about money and or happiness, and then you just look at it and say, okay, if this is what I think, if this is what I believe, what do I need to change that? So
And I think my wording there was poor, because I understood it as a thing where that when I categorize money, I see that as including happiness, because I wouldn't do anything that doesn't make me happy. And I'm lucky enough to have things that are creative and make me happy as what make me the money. And the happiness side was me approaching more my social life. So yes, when I said that, I think you made a worthy observation. And I mean, I'm trying to make it not sound now how it came out, because there I am implying that I will do things that make me money that don't make me happy, which I don't think, I mean, I would do, but that's not my that's not my 2022 goal.
yeah, absolutely. No, I didn't mean to push you in a corner where you have to
Yeah,
defend your beliefs. No, absolutely not. It was just something that
yeah,
I'm just trained to hear. So
yeah.
so yeah, my year was really full with business. So I mean, I said this before, creativity coaching is definitely an art, and then there is the art of building a business. So I'm still finding my way there. Like I did three summits last year, and a series, no, two series actually, and it was a lot. Like I interviewed over 50 people last year. And it's really beautiful because I never knew that this would be something that give me so much meaning, and so I'm really glad that I found that. And shall we just dive into walking in this world?
Yes,
Like,
and I just want to say I love that you found meaning in interviewing people and talking to people, because that just shows that your coaching and those conversations are really integral part of your art and your meaning. And I know that I find incredible meaning in talking to people, because we work ourselves out and we work the other person out, and
mhm.
then we have the whole comparison, and it's so valuable. So yes, let's dive into walking in this world.
I just rewatched our very first The Artist's Way video that we did together, and I was talking, like, defending Julia Cameron's concept of God and creativity so hard, and I'm still 100% behind it. I have to say though that just after Christmas, I finished Eric Meisel's training to become a life purpose boot camp instructor. And Eric Meisel actually wrote a book. I mean, he has written over 50, but one of his books is The Atheist's Way. And basically, if you look at making meaning, it shouldn't really matter whether you believe in God or a universe or whatever. It is really just, well, I am here, I exist, and I need meaning, so I have to create it for myself. And it was really interesting for me to come from that, not from that teaching, like, it doesn't really matter whether there is a God, you just have to create meaning for yourself, and then to go back into Julia Cameron's world of like where she says, when you do this work, you trigger the universe's support.
And I don't think those two, in a practical sense, those two things aren't different in action. It's just the way that you think about them. It's just a tool you use to think. And I feel like the way Julia Cameron interprets that, if someone's struggling with their creativity, they might find it very challenging to initially try to seek it within themselves rather than trigger a power that is constant and flowing. And I think, although I don't consider myself to be religious, I am open, and I'm open to creativity being a spiritual force, because in a way everything can be a spiritual force. It's just how you see it. And so to me, to imagine it as a constant flow of energy that comes from something, I mean, it does come from you, but it comes into you, and you know, you create that, and then before you send it back out into the world. So, you know, you are a force in that. But I think where Julia Cameron says it comes from somewhere other than you before it gets to you, I think that's a fair assumption, because creativity has been around for millions of years, and it is inherent for a lot of people, if not everybody. And so I feel like when you are trying to recover that sense of creativity, it's not bad to see it as a force from above, around you, or underneath you.
Yeah, I think it makes it easier if you can just tap into something that already exists
Yeah,
instead of this huge task of making it. So
yeah,
yeah, I agree. I don't think that, although they are like, it's a dichotomy, those two beliefs, Julia Cameron and Eric Meisel, but I think they go beautifully together.
yeah.
So that was like the very first essay. I thought about that a lot. And can I read you my favorite quote?
Yes, please do.
Ah, it's, oh my God, this is so beautiful. This is, we're talking about drama. She says, we have attached so much rigmarole to the notion of being an artist that we fail to ask the simplest and most obvious question, do I want to make this? If the answer is yes, then begin.
Yeah. And I love that quote, because you know the answer is yes before you set out, and it's why you don't begin, which is always what holds you back.
Mhm.
And the best thing is to begin, and that's why morning pages are so useful for me, because I begin no matter what's going to happen. I don't know what I'm going to write on that third page. I might know what I'm going to write at the start of that first page, but by the time I
Yeah.
get to the third page, I've gone somewhere completely different. And approaching that to my essays, which I had 3 assignments due in last week, a day after each other. So that was hard going. But what I had to do is I had to sit down and begin, even when I didn't really have the time to collect my thoughts beforehand. And sometimes we force us to do that. And it's okay, because we can always change. We can adapt and edit what's on a page.
Mhm. So regarding morning pages, have you written them the whole year?
No, I haven't written them since doing the artist way.
And
And
how, I mean, just
Yeah.
to finish my thought. So I remember that that you were really blown away by what they did to you, like how they changed everything, and then you stopped, and now you're diving back into it. And is there kind of like the same, like, oh wow, they are amazing. Why have I ever stopped? Or is it a different kind of experience now? How does it work for you?
I think it's a slightly different experience, but a lot of the stuff is the same. I don't regret not doing it in between, but I'm glad. And when I said I wanted to do The Artist's Way or another book with you again, that was, I knew deep down that I wanted to start doing it again, and the time was right. But I don't regret not doing it in that time, because The Artist's Way and doing the morning pages gave me enough to not have to do that. And that doesn't mean to say I didn't self-reflect and I didn't have that thought process, but I knew going into this year and the end of last year, I wanted to improve organization. Whereas when we did The Artist Way, I wanted to improve creativity.
Mhm.
So I think that's where it stands for me. But I have to admit that you are right in a sense of, why did I stop? Because I'm noticing things like synchronicity. I'm writing about things that don't seem so important when I write them down, but are things that deep down I'd like to happen, and they have happened. So, for example, last night, a friend I haven't really caught up with for 2 years, we went out for dinner last night and had a nice catch up and had a chat. And one of the things I wrote in my morning pages, very self-critically of myself, is that how online and in real life, a lot of people know who I am and I know of a lot of people, but I'm losing those genuine connections because a lot of them have been, over the years, we fall out of touch with people. And I feel like that led to a lack of trust with me.
Mhm.
But it's something I've written about in my morning pages, and two people that I have been really close friends to and open up to within that period of doing morning pages, and within a day or two after writing them, they got back in touch with me. And that's not me reaching out to them whatsoever. I haven't sent any kind of message. And I'm not saying this is chance, because one person I hadn't spoken to for 2 years and the other person I hadn't spoken to for 6 months to a year. So it was coincidental. But
Yeah.
then I knew going into that, because of the morning pages, my frame of mind was in the right place to approach that, because I'd already written about my intention.
Mhm. That's beautiful. I love synchronicity. I really love when it happens. I have to say one thing regarding the structure of the book, because
Yeah,
I really love the way the artist's way is set up. So you have the essays, then they give you the task, and then it's the check-in.
yeah.
And they don't do that. And like with walking in this world and also finding water, they don't do that. It's like essay, task, and I hate that. To me,
How
it's
do
like
you approach that then? How do you, knowing that you hate that, how do you approach that? How do you work through that?
well, first of all, I forgot about it. And then when I turned the page and there was a task instead of a new essay, I was like, ugh. And I feel like I feel immediately resistance because I really don't like it when people tell me you have to do this now. Because I mean, I started reading because I wanted to read. If I wanted to do a task now, I would set out with a different mindset. It's really not really childish. It's more like I think it's from teenage years. It's like you don't tell me what to do. So,
Yeah, and I feel like it's easy for me to hop in and say, well, that's a very limiting way of thinking. But it's not, because think of how that's prepared you to do other things. If you go in with a mindset, okay, I'm in the mindset to do this and I want to do this, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because in lots of ways in life, that's helpful, because you adapt to a certain way and you stick to it and you maintain that control and momentum. But in a way, I have to say the structure I have liked in a way, because there's less reading to do before you get to a task. So
mhm.
on the first day, I read the essay and then I do the task. The next day, I read and then I do the task. And it breaks it up into the order of days, rather than before I was picking which task that I wanted to do. And I was like, oh, do I want to do this task? But doing it this way, I've done all of the tasks.
I'm impressed.
Apart from the do nothing one, which I was going to do before, but Yeah.
Well, here's me. I was really clever. I combined the do nothing with my artist date. Because she says do nothing for like 15 minutes and listen to music, and that doesn't work for me because as soon as I hear music, it's like
You're
my
not doing
brain
that.
it's
Yeah.
not doing nothing exactly. It's listening to music, and so I just um like my brain is sort of it's always on the lookout for artist dates, for potential artist dates. And so I was in a shop and I needed supplies for my rabbits because I now have two wonderful, beautiful two bunnies, and they need a lot. And so I was in a shop and they had this children's book. It's so it's a book. I love the handle. My books never had handles.
No.
And it also has a CD. And on the CD, there's the the fairy tale that they are actually reading that is in the book, and then also a surprise fairy tale. And I was like, oh my god, surprise fairy tale! I need this. And so that was I combined the do nothing. So I was really following the instructions. I just lay down, put in the CD, and listened to the two fairy tales. It was beautiful.
And what did those fairy tales do to you as an artist, Date? What was your experience like with those fairy tales? Because I've had a recent experience with fairy tales, which I'll tell you about afterwards, but I want to know what that experience was like for you.
I really like the imagery. I mean, it's the thumbling. So he's very, very tiny. And I just love this idea of this tiny person running around and doing stuff and hiding underneath the security thing that you put on your finger when you sew. I don't know what that's called. And there's one image, like in particular, where he hides behind a coin. And for whatever reason, that picture gave me so much joy because it's like this really childlike, I'm hiding and you can't see me. And so what it did to me was really, it brought me joy. Yeah, it brought me joy. The reader, the person who read the book, the fairy tale, was just exceptionally good. So I kind of feel bad that I only paid like €1 for this. Yeah, so I experienced joy.
Yeah, and I think that's such a emotion that sometimes we don't let ourselves feel. And I think with fairy tales, one of my assignments for one of my modules, I picked to write a fairy tale for. It was writing structures and the structures of different stories.
Mhm.
And when I saw fairy tale as one of the lectures and seminars we had, I thought, how am I going to get through this? I don't want to confront fairy tales. Fairy tales are for children. And in class, he said, right, I want you to use this structure. And he broke down different fairy tales into a structure of disconnection, connection, disconnection, connection, and a very binary opposition, one after the other. And he said, right, retell a fairy tale in this structure or write your own. And I thought, well, and he said, just start now. And so I ended up writing a plan for an original fairy tale. And I found myself getting captured in the imagery. Like you were saying, the imagery is powerful,
Mhm.
but you can really explore and play. And it did give me a sense of joy because I could really imagine that as a fantasy world without feeling it was silly. And I know when I wrote that up as a story, I didn't write it aimed at children. I wrote it as more of a folk tale and you know, the origin of fairy tales more so. But yeah, I experienced the same joy, and I feel like that's the perfect part of the artist state, is it lets you feel joy that you usually suppress.
Yes, absolutely. So what was your artist date?
My artist state, yeah, I went and did some photography. I went out where I usually walk the dog and just took photos. And because when I'm usually taking photos now, it's either I'm in the photo for social media, or
Yeah.
it's taking photos of different things that are happening for work, for social media content.
Mhm.
And so this was me going out into nature in a place where I walk nearly every day, twice a day, once a day, and noticing things and picking out things and capturing things in the way I would other things, but applying that lens, the outside world. And I read something recently, I can't remember who said it, but being a good photographer doesn't teach you to take good photos, it teaches you to see without the lens. And so for me, that was going around a place I knew and seeing things I wouldn't have seen if I had my headphones and walking the dog quite fast. So yeah.
I love that. I really do, because you took something, as you said, that you know already and where you think nothing interesting happens here, and then you went there with the camera, and I really like that. That sounds like talking about the horizon. Like it's opening up the horizon, and that's actually already there. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, and you're exactly right with that, and how that you're seeing things further away from you and slowing down.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite quote from this
Favorite
chapter?
quote. I know I wrote one down in my morning pages.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I'll go through here and see if I can find it.
Okay.
I though I see one here. Um, all serious staring starts from within, and I like that. And I like the start from within, and I like the daring. Because another thing I want to do this year, which is funny, because when I look at my Walking in This World book, it's greenery, it's nature.
Yeah.
And another thing I want to do this year is to spend more time in nature. And I don't mean, because I walk the dog and I live in a very not urban area. It's, a village out the way with
Mhm.
a beach and, woodland areas around. So it's not exactly built up. But I really want to go out into the wild and experience the natural world in its original sense, and go, because I go camping but in like a caravan instead of, but I want to go out in a tent, and I was being scared of that. But I read a book recently by an explorer. I don't know if I have it here. Yeah. An explorer, and
Mm. Yeah.
yeah, and it just made me think, why have I been scared to go camping in a tent on my own, or go out into the world on my own and just explore in a very fundamental sense? And reading his book, I was thinking about all of the things we've built up around us, and all of these systems and all of the things we have to do, and stripping them back,
Yeah.
I think for me lets you to be more creative. And so that's something I want to do, because I want to every so often recalibrate how I'm thinking and my frames of reference, and how when I'm waking up each day, I'm thinking, okay, I've got this to do for this reason, and to just have a different perspective on life, because I've been having a lot of existential crises lately, where I've been thinking about life and death and what life means, which isn't great when you're trying to get to sleep. But I was reading this book as well, which is all about the wild, and I thought, well, I'm scared of so many things, but I've got so much. So I really want to strip back and look around me. And in a way, to me, that's similar to the whole reading deprivation. And I think constantly I'm fighting to shut off things around me that I don't need at the moment,
Mhm.
which before I wanted to gather things around me that I didn't need, but now I want to get rid of them.
I think walking in this world is going to encourage and to even like strengthen that wish.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm super excited that we're doing this. I wrote my check-in today. So there was one thing where I was thinking, and that goes back to the morning pages and when I asked you about your break in between. So Julia Cameron, she asks all these questions in the check-in. So how many days this week did you do your morning pages? And for me, it's just like 7, of course. It's like I mean, I write morning pages full stop. It's like,
Yeah.
and then she asks, how was the experience of writing them for you? Are you experiencing more clarity, a wider range of emotions, a greater sense of detachment, purpose, and calm? Did anything surprise you? And I was just like, no. And then I was thinking in my morning pages, maybe I need to stop them for a while. And then there was about, stop the morning pages. Are you're not serious? It is like, it's really interesting because I think because I am so used to them that these questions don't apply anymore.
And I feel like that's a shame because they should apply.
Yeah.
And are you doing them because they're helping you, or are you doing them for a sense of routine? And maybe it wouldn't be right to stop them, but maybe it would be right to approach them with a different perspective or have a different intention when you do them, or do them at a different time where you're really challenging what you're thinking about and what you're writing. But I feel like it's not a bad thing that you're feeling that, because that means that you likely already feel those things already, and you've already, it doesn't mean to say that they're pointless, it just means that you're not aware. But is that a bad thing if you're not feeling it, if you're not feeling that you're doing them and they're not they're helping you to some extent, but they're not having this massive transformation?
Mm.
Does that mean that that transformation for you already happened? And I don't think that's permanent.
I think now that when I think about it, there are things that surprise me. There are things, but it's just like I am so used of the morning pages offering me these insights and offering these surprises that they don't register as something that I write in my check-in about. It's like I'm so used to the morning pages working for me. I use them to problem solve. Sometimes I use them to mind map. Um, I use them to plan out sessions. I use them to plan out events and what or videos or whatever it is. So they do work 100%. It's probably like being married and to and you know you love your partner and it's just like really everything works so well and they make breakfast and you do lunch and all these things that it's like that you don't really realize how well it works. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I feel like, using the relationship analogy, it would easy to be say that I'm not sure this is working, let's take a break, because that's going to do more damage. But maybe it's you need to have a date night with your morning pages and to do a morning page about writing morning pages to really realize what they're doing to you.
I love that. Or bring them flowers or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes. I really love that. Is there anything else that you would like to add for week one of walking in this world?
Just that I found myself doing tasks that weren't in this book. And when I was so I was writing lists of possibilities of what I could do this year or what I could do that day. And one of the things I did, I know you did a summit on finances for creative people. And one of the things I listed was possible sources of income, revenue, um, by doing different creative things. And I think I got to a list of 30 different things I could do.
Wow.
And that was where, when I said these things need to make me happy or make me money, I feel like that was, I muddled my thoughts there, but that's because I'm surrounded by dangerous thinking about money, where it doesn't matter if what makes you money doesn't make you happy, because I'm seeing that in a lot of people at the moment. But I feel like for me, writing that list, I thought, well, I can do all of those things and these things will make me money and make me happy. So I wasn't, when you picked up on that thought, I wasn't initially concerned, because I feel like that's something that's brought out of me. And having that break, I think, helped made me see things again. And having that, I like my perspective to switch, but I like it to switch when I'm ready for it.
Mm. I bet if you go to that list of 30 income ways of making income, you can easily top it up to 50. There is something incredibly just satisfying of I have 50 ways of making money right here.
Yeah,
And if one doesn't work, then I have 49 left.
yeah,
And so I have a list. I started with 50 and I think I'm around 72 now, something like that. So it's like it keeps growing because every day like I learn something new and find ways that align with my values. So yeah, I absolutely love that.
That's wonderful.
So I don't think I have a final thought on the first week. I'm just really looking forward to finding that quote about mental health again because
Yeah.
yeah, I really want to find that. And I'm super grateful that we're doing this. It's really, really, really happy to have you on board with this. So
Yeah, likewise. And what week are you most looking forward to? And what week should I most look forward to?
the one with the where the I find I where I will dig up this quote, and I
Yeah.
don't know where it is, but I'm just reading through the chapters, and it's like it's everything. Like I read something like discovering a sense of boundaries, discovering a sense of momentum, of discernment, of resiliency, and it's like, oh yes, 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 let's do that. It's like every part of me wants to read this book. So
I'm
yeah.
excited and I look forward to doing all of those things and talking about all of those things.
Yeah. And to our lovely viewers, if you want to join us, feel free to jump in. If you are interested in like a Q&A session, I'm happy to set something up like that. Just send me an email at hello@iamshallalla.com and just say, hey, I'm interested whether you're doing the artist way or whether you're doing walking in this world. I would love to do that. And I guess I see you next week, Joe.
See you next week. Lovely to speak to you. And I'm glad that we're doing all of these wonderful things together.
Same here. Bye.
Bye.